Hey, I'm NichBoy and welcome to Pocket, and today I'm looking at The Bottom of the Well, which is a free-to-play visual novel on Steam by Red Nettle Studios. Now, we have had some luck with free-to-play games on Steam, a la Emily is Away, so let's dive down and see what's at The Bottom of the Well. Welcome to The Bottom of the Well. This game is a visual novel, meaning it is a mainly text-based piece of interactive fiction. Did you guys read Choose Your Own Adventure? My favorite one was where I was a ninja. I was like a boy ninja. The Bottom of the Well does have some gameplay, aside from multiple choice though, the most important of which is the kind of Alice, our protagonist, you are going to play. For your first playthrough, we recommend you use default Alice, but the customization is there to be used. This is Alice. Survival, supplies, career, fitness, social life, dating, question mark? I would like to use default Alice. I would like a randomly generated Alice. I would like a custom Alice. I would like the Dark Alice. Dark Alice is an Alice min-maxed for maximum ruthlessness and efficiency. Right, so she's all about fitness, survival, and supplies. She doesn't have time for a career, social life, or dating. It's kind of like me. She will almost certainly be able to survive most of what the world throws at her, but she will not be able to reach the absolute final ending. She's a canny, super something. I hope I don't have to date anybody, because I am no good at that. Hey! It's Game and a Computer, 2016. Day I had the weirdest dream of my life. Oh. Morning, eh? Morning. I do miss fake typing. I do miss that.
I think you skipped it.
Wait, did I click the wrong button? So like I said, it was the end of the world. Wow, we dove it fast. What the hell's happening? Everything I did that day felt like the real thing. Every smell, every sound, every color, every touch. Though not too much touching, because I got 0 points in it. It's important you know that. I wasn't acting like I would in a dream. I didn't know it was a dream. Keep in mind it was a dream. I pressed skip last time and I felt like I jumped halfway through the game. Should I do it again? I don't get it. Maybe I shouldn't be pressing skip? I should just be clicking anywhere, even though the game doesn't work like that? Because more text just came up and I didn't read it, so now I need to think about my options. I went online to find out what was going on. That would be helpful considering I have no idea what's going on. I immediately tried to call Ches. I need to think about my options. Can I think about them and I get it? Okay, what was your plan? Okay, so I just need to click the box. Never press skip, even though that seems like the button that you would press. Even though it says skip, I would assume it would be skip this bit. Broadcast kept saying to stay indoors, to keep all windows and doors closed, stuff like that. But what if the stairway got blocked or a fire started or something and I get trapped up there? I didn't feel very safe, even though I put all my points in survival. And I'd imagine how they would hit downtown first, right? Not that you would leave in the middle of a town, but... Right, getting out of town felt like a good idea. They'd attack the cities first. I'd be much safer in the countryside somewhere. That's a good plan. The Mad Hatter says, spoken like a true survivor. But why do it alone? Wouldn't it be safer in a group? To which I say, I wear a hood. I don't need no man. I thought of that, it could be done with a small group. Was it realistic of you to think you could stay in the apartment? Realistic. It wasn't like I had been through a lot of apocalypses before. I'm not sure what constitutes realistic. I feel like the Mad Hatter is having a conversation and Alice is narrating her own life. Like, that doesn't seem like an answer to a question. But whatever. I'm gonna speak Alice's voice like she's a hard-boiled film noir detective. Mad Hatter will just be, you know, whatever comes out of my mouth. I had enough food in my cupboards to last me a little while, so at least I had that going for me. Oh yeah, and then I had my trusty radio, of course. I tried it, and it worked. It was sending out the same emergency broadcast as TV, and you called me a Luddite. You got me there! So what did you do? I went online to find out what was going on. I immediately tried to call Ches, who I still don't know about. I decided to try to leave town. I decided to try to tough it out at home. Right. A little disconcerting that the top of her head is chopped off right there, but whatever. I went online to find out what was going on. I'm gonna leave town. I feel like I wanna leave town. Go, like, survive in the country. Hunt some rabbits. That's about it. That's all you do in the country. Isn't this how that started in the first place? She was chasing a rabbit. Mad Hatter. Alice. The rabbit's here somewhere. It's in the country. We're gonna find it, we're gonna kill it. I have a feeling this was gonna prove to be more difficult than just taking the Greyhound. I have a feeling this was going to prove more difficult. That's the present tense, and that's the past tense.
He is the Mad Hatter.
He is the Mad Hatter, Pete. Yeah, but I knew I didn't have a lot of time to spare, so I hurried out and... Wait. You didn't leave empty-handed, did you? Oh, right, yes. I grabbed the biggest bag I had. An honest-to-God hiking bag. I never owned a hiking bag in my life, but in the dream I did. So what's happening? This is a dream. She's having a dream. She thought it's a dream. It's a dream. It's a dream. 2016. Take first aid kit. Okay, so I've got, what, 3 empty slots? Because I've got an Apple Watch! Oh my god! What? What is that doing there? Those don't do anything. Take radio, take flashlight, take first aid kit. Here's my problem. I mean, I would love to not take that, because as an owner of a shit watch, it doesn't do anything unless A, it's charged and that only lasts a day, or B, it's connected to your phone. If you don't have your phone, it doesn't do anything. She doesn't have a phone. It's the apocalypse. Get rid of that. But we'll take, what do we got? Hands, we can take that. Take a first aid kit, that feels right. Oh, I can actually take it all. Oh, I can take everything. Right, this is fine. So if you weren't planning on sticking around for the bombs to fall and you weren't planning on going to a shelter to hide from them, what exactly was your plan? Alice is no longer speaking. Well, I needed to get out of the downtown area fast, which left few options. The streets, I can imagine they must have been pretty bad. You live centrally, don't you? Which is something the Mad Hatter would say. You live centrally, don't you? Yep, and yet, the streets were bad. When I got out the front door, it struck me. Accidents everywhere, gridlocked as far as the eye could see. Panic, bedlam. Awful. So no buses, no metro, and you don't own a car, correct? That's right. But I had a few options. One was to start walking until I got out of the gridlock zone and then steal a car. People were leaving them with keys in the ignition, just running away. Yeah, just do that. Drive off the road. Go country. Okay, sounds awful and reasonable. Another would be to try to find a car as soon as possible and then use it to make a way out of the gridlock. What, like in the action movies? Something like that. There was a third option. There's one guy I know who lives not too far away. I was gonna ride him. I was gonna hop on his shoulders. I know for a fact he has a motorcycle. Oh, a motorcycle would be great. More maneuverability. You look cool. I assume it takes small amounts of gas, but then probably uses it at the same rate as a car. Cheap to run. Does that count in the apocalypse? You need to know how to ride one as well. You don't want to just hop on a two-wheeler without knowing what you're doing. You need to do that 2-day course that the RTA provide. Maybe he'd lend it to me. Lend his favorite thing to someone who is self-avowedly leaving forever to live as a hermit out in the mountains? I'm sure he'd be thrilled. Maybe a bit of a long shot, but it might be worth the time. A motorcycle is much more maneuverable even when the streets are gridlocked. Like I said, all right then, so what did you decide to do? This is very strange because the conversation, beyond the fact that it's really creeping me out that we don't see our eyes, the conversation is, from what I understand, and it's hard to keep track of because I am constantly talking. She had a dream and she's relaying the dream, but then she's talking about the options that she had in that dream rather than just like, oh, I could do this one thing. And he's playing along with her like, oh yeah, those were all your options. But that's not what you'd say when you were talking about a dream to someone. To walk past the worst, we're gonna get the motorcycle. Try my luck with the motorcycle man, because I've taken that 2-day course. The motorcycle seemed like a good idea at the time, except that when I arrived at his building, the first thing I saw was him outside prepping his ride together with a group of similarly attired, similarly equipped motorcycle guys. All right, a gang. I could be part of a gang. You could just hop on the back and hold. So much for borrowing a motorcycle then. He didn't recognize me when I approached and I tried to introduce myself. He gave me one look and basically said, listen, I don't know who you are, but I'm busy. Then he showed off the piece on his belt. Did he basically say that or did he literally say that? Because it sounds like he literally said that. Yikes. I got out of there post-haste. No daring escape in the sunset on your motorcycle with bombs going off behind you. What a pathetic excuse for a power fantasy this dream of yours is. I like this Mad Hatter guy. I don't think it was ever a power fantasy, or necessarily fantasy at all. Anyway, well, it wasn't real, was it? Of course it's fantasy. I had to make a choice and I had already lost a lot of time. Let's just walk. We'll probably encounter more interesting things. I decided walking was the best option. The whole downtown area was gridlock, cars everywhere, people running down the sidewalks and the sirens blaring. It was like one of those disaster movies. No hope of driving anywhere at any rate. But where was everyone going? The country. Most of them were going home, I think. People were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. There you were, running away from home. Well observed, Mad Hatter. Once I made my decision, I stuck to it, no matter how much I was filled with doubt. Half an hour was nothing. Nothing at all. But luckily that estimate was completely wrong. Let's just go back one dialogue box and think about how annoying it would be to be friends with the Mad Hatter, where you go, all these people were probably just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And then your friend who you're telling a story to goes, sounds like you were running away from home when everyone else was going to home. It's like, yes, thank you, Goose. Very well observed. It's very clever. Thanks for interrupting. Sometimes I'll walk half an hour in the wrong direction just because I stubbornly refuse to believe I'm lost. I don't know what the right direction was, but I did try to get wherever I was going as fast as possible. I stayed off the major roads and especially roads that I knew led towards metro stations. Not that I was the only one who'd gotten that grand idea. Was there any danger? Like people attacking each other or something? No, I thought we were all going in the same direction. So much unnecessary detail. But then I realized that the crowd was heading somewhere I hadn't planned to go, a subway station. What'd you do? I elbowed a few people and ducked and weaved my way out of there before I was swept too far along, but I did lose precious time. Precious dream time. Time, yes. Isn't that the one thing you're fighting here? Shut up, Gus! How far away were you planning on getting? I could practically see my apartment building, but the crowd was slowly thinning at least, and I actually saw a vehicle in motion, an ambulance, weaving between stalled cars with its sirens blaring. Why didn't you just do that? Why didn't you take a car and just weave between cars? You kept saying how it was gridlocks. That was like why I picked walking. Can I eat? I'm hungry just listening to this story. I do not believe I'm currently happy. I kept walking, although I started looking for shelter. I found myself looking over my shoulder all the time as if the flash could come at any time. I now see why they made that skip button so big and prominent. Should I just do it? Press 1 if you want me to do it.
1.
Good choice. I knew I didn't have much time, so I ducked into the closest shelter I could find. Here's an idea. Let's see if we can play the game just skipping to choices and see what happens. I knew I didn't have much time, so I ducked into the closest shelter. I thought I had enough time to at least get out of the burrows. I kept walking. Let's duck into the shelter. What'd you find? That's a good question. Let's find out. I didn't want to tangle with the crowd. I went east. I joined the crowd running west, of course. I huddled down and joined in the praying. What did we miss? I huddled down and joined in the praying. Christ, do you have no self-preservation instincts? What if you get buried alive? Isn't that like pretty much the worst thing that ever could happen ever? Let's find out. Skip. I just couldn't leave. I had to try to help those trapped. We left, promising ourselves we'd try to find help. We could just power through this game. Suddenly I've got 3 people up here. I've eaten food. I'm upset. This is terrific. We promised. Let's just leave. So the post-apocalypse, what did it look like? Good question. Let's find out. Immediate shelter was first priority. I wanted to keep going. I wanted to try to find Ches. Let's find Ches, who I don't know. I mean, even when I was listening to the dialogue, I had no context for who Ches was. The problem was, of course, I had no idea where he might have gone. His apartment might have told me something, but there was no way I was going back there, so I gave up on the idea. If I found him, it would be by chance or providence. Let's find out, shall we? Immediate shelter was the first priority. I found a single house, door all unlocked, all the windows blown in, no car in the driveway, and after knocking and walking around for a while, decided it'd be as good a candidate as any. Let's find out, shall we? For as long as the supplies lasted is one of my options. For 24 hours, I wasn't planning on leaving. For as long as the supplies lasted. Oh no, she lost an eye. I don't know how safe the house was from fallout, really, windows blasted open and all that. I would say then, pretty unsafe. But then also I would say, even if you shut the door and the windows, fallout radiation could probably seep into the house. And as long as we ate the only uncontaminated food, it ought to be okay, I thought. So apparently we're with someone. I'm guessing that's the 3 people there. Can I talk to them? No. Skip. I wanted to keep going. I kept trying to find Ches. I have no idea where Ches is. There are a lot of other survivors on the road as well, and as soon as the rumors started circulating, there was a government evacuation center set up in the old college. Everyone was going there. Let's find out, shall we? I went up and confronted them. Brave. I told them we had enough food. We didn't need to steal theirs. I explained me and mine were going through. I tried talking my way through. We're going through. Well, what about all the guns? That's a good question. And thus concluded my dream. Well, that was interesting. What do you think? I think it was incomplete, like there was something missing. That wasn't the way it was supposed to end, you know? It's almost like the player just skipped everything and didn't read any of the dialogue. Dreams are supposed to end in certain ways. This one was, I think. I felt like it was trying to tell me something, but I wasn't listening closely enough. You got that right. Maybe you could try again next night, see if you hear the same recording. Speaking of which, what frequency was that on? That is a good question. Didn't know this was on a frequency at all. That's the weird part. When I tried to see, I realized I hit the right channel, and it was in fact reading Alice in Wonderland. And this isn't exactly some obscure numbers station frequency on the AM bands. Well, maybe you'll dream it again next night. That's the good thing with dreams. You can always dream them again. I'm gonna leave it there on that super poetic note. So that was my first full playthrough of The Bottom of the Well. Apparently it's one of those games where you can make these decisions, and as you go, you make the right one or the wrong one, and then you go back again and you start exploring the other areas. Kind of feels a bit like 999 or the Zero Escape series, which are games that I love where you play it through, get to an ending, and then play through again, making different choices, finding new endings, and ultimately, you get the final big ending here. There's just no mystery here. A game like 999 works because you start the game by waking up in a room, you have no idea why you're there, and you need to figure out how to get out. So there's instantly a hook. How did I get here? Who am I? How do I get out? Here, you play as a character where there's some sort of, bomb or something dropped on a city, and it's get out of the city. That's not a mystery. And it's not even really a challenge. It's just like, okay, go do this thing. And then it takes too long to get to meaningful choices. I guess there's a lot of dialogue, there's a lot of talking, and the dialogue's not that strong, so it's not particularly interesting. And then I feel like the first meaningful choice I got was choose to go with the motorcycle guy. I go to the motorcycle guy, and then he just goes, it's one dialogue box where he's like, go away, I'm not gonna help you. And you go, right, okay, that was the wrong choice. I think that's the problem, right? Like that was the wrong choice to make. It wasn't like I could take that path, go down motorcycle guy path, hop on the back of a motorcycle, become a biker chick, get a bunch of tattoos, live my life out in the country as like part of a motorcycle gang. It was like, nah, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be wandering through the city. And so then I just feel like it's time wasting as opposed to interesting mystery mechanic. The game is free, so you're not really losing anything by trying it, but I feel like I couldn't really recommend it to anybody. If only because the most unrealistic thing about it is that someone would want to sit there and listen to you describe your dream over and over and over again. All right, that's it for today's episode of Pocket My Pocketeers. NichBoy out. But before we go, let me tell you about this weird dream I had last night. So I'm a fish, and it's like, why am I a fish? And then suddenly, the fish grows like a unicorn thing. But someone chops it off because we're hunting unicorn ivory. I didn't even know unicorn horns were made out of ivory. Come to think of it, are elephants made out of ivory? I don't quite, hey John. Yeah, so you want to hear, okay, so let me start again. I was a fish, and then I had like a unicorn horn thing. But like, when you meet people in dreams and you're like, that's not how you talk. You don't talk like that in a dream. That's not you at all. Anyway, it ended up having sex with them, which, that was the fun part. But then there was just like, suddenly I wasn't a fish anymore, and then I was a boy, but I wasn't me. Like, I was me, but I wasn't really me, if you know what I mean. So weird. Anyway, then I woke up because I got a bit thirsty and needed to do whiz bombs. Went back to sleep and decided I wanted to try and dream that dream again. So I went to sleep thinking, you're a boy, but you're not, really the boy. So I go to sleep, I'm a frog. Why am I a frog? It was a fish. I'm sleepy. Guys?